Doing well. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and today we're going to talk about this video I shared of a mother who goes ballistic over how difficult it is to be a mom. And I think that this is a great day to express appreciation for our mothers and to also talk about the economic and emotional challenges of motherhood and maybe come up with some solutions. So get comfortable, buckle up a seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I hope you guys can hear me okay. Give me a yes in the chat if you can hear me. Just give me a quick yes to let me know that I'm coming through all right and that my audio is good. If you're listening to this live, it is Sunday morning, and we are being extra Black today as I am sitting here messing up my audio and all that good stuff. But I hope you guys can hear me okay. I hope that I'm still coming through all right for you. And also, I want to also acknowledge really quickly Robin Simpson, the sister who is who was a mom in Houston, who was unfortunately Robin. Well, let me just tell you about Robin. Why I know Robin. Robin is the best friend of someone that I respect immensely, Michelle Martin, and Robin was unfortunately killed by what appears to be her husband in front of their daughter, stabbed many times by this allegedly by this terrible person. And the daughter says she saw it all, the 8-year-old daughter. And this is something that I'm actually on a little bit of a crusade on, because I think that we have to really sort of deal with the violence that can occur in some of our families. I also think that there's some issues to be dealt with in terms of Houston police not necessarily appearing to be doing their job the way they should have been. She did call the police, from what I understand, and they apparently were in the backyard when all this happened. So look up Robin Simpson if you haven't done that yet. She's a person worth looking up, and she's a great person, wonderful sister. She was born in Philadelphia, but also lived in Houston. So you may want to research this on your own, because we are going to follow up. I'm going to try to reach out to the family about this, because this is a real problem. So anyway, Robin Simpson's her name. I want to say it. So everybody type the word Robin in the chat. Shout out to all the mothers out here that are getting it done. All right, so let me hop into this conversation today about something that I put on my Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance. If you haven't followed me on the gram, feel free to do that. As you guys know, they did they did eliminate my previous Instagram, I guess, because I'm such a big mouth, and that had 500,000 people on it. And so this channel is much smaller, which means that it's a much more intimate conversation. So feel free to do that. Also, we have our own social media platform that is off of Instagram, off of Facebook, off of YouTube, all that. It's called B1 Nation. So if you'd like to join that social media platform, go to b1nation.us, b1nation.us. All right. So anyway, so let's get started here. All right. So I put this video up. There was a mom who, let me know if you saw this video, but there was a mom who was really upset about, the challenges of being a mom, right? She was talking about just keeping up with the kids and the emotional challenges and the difficulties and everything else. And first of all, it's how many of you are mothers out here? How many mothers we got in the building? And also all the men who respect mothers. I want you to put that in the chat, because not everybody really respects mothers. I remember when one of my girls had a baby, and she said, yeah, some of my friends make fun of me because all I am is a mom. And I said, don't you ever say that to me. I said, there's no job more important than that of a mother. Give me a yes if you understand this. Like, if mothers all stopped doing their jobs, then we would have a nation full of serial killers. We would have a nation full of unloved people growing up in the world, hurting other human beings. Hey, let me know if you know what I'm talking about. A mother's love is something that is created by God, that is about the most precious thing that any human being can ever experience. And it's vital and it's essential. It's as important as air or water or anything else. And so I'm gonna just tell you all the truth. I'm a little bit biased. I'm not real happy when there are men who disrespect mothers. Don't get me wrong. I can understand if you have something you need to discuss. I understand that mothers are not perfect, and there's a lot of issues to discuss in that regard. But two things I don't allow disrespect for is mothers and soldiers. Now, remember, not disrespecting those does not mean that you don't have accountability, and that's where some of us don't understand the difference, right? They think that if you call out behavior, if you say, maybe you shouldn't be, maybe if you talk about a rapper and say, maybe you should be teaching 3-year-old girls to twerk and sell their vaginas. They say, well, you disrespecting a mother. No, I'm not. I'm simply saying we have to have a standard. We have to build strong mothers. We have to build strong fathers in our community. And in fact, if you look at the decay of the Black community right now, if you look at what's going on right now, if you look all throughout our neighborhoods and you see what's happening to a lot of our young people, well, a lot of it comes from the fact that the parents didn't do their job. The parents didn't deal with their stuff. The mother didn't deal with her stuff. The daddy didn't deal with his stuff. And now the kids are all up in the stuff, right? It's a complete mess. And we create that mess. Give me a yes if you follow what I'm saying. All right. So anyway, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. If you have not done that yet, please do this. All right. So let me just kind of frame it up and let you guys know why I'm having this conversation. Okay. So framing it up. If you go to Dr. Boyce Finance, which is my Instagram page, you can jump into the conversation if you'd like. We're having a pretty heavy discussion about this video with this mom, and she's expressing a righteous indignation over the challenges of being a mother. And I don't know if she's a single mom or not. I did not pick up on whether or not she is or not, but I did listen carefully, and she talked about the needs for women and mothers to be validated and to be heard and things like that. And I think that's extremely important. In fact, if my wife is a therapist and she's a mom, and she's a wonderful mom. And one of the things that my wife has introduced me to are a lot of therapy concepts. And one of the more important therapy concepts out there is that the importance of making sure people are heard and validated. Even if you disagree with somebody, if you just take the time to understand where they're coming from, you repeat back what they said to you before you start talking about what you want to say. You really listen and let them know you understand what they told you. Then they're more likely to hear you when you have something to say, right? So one of the things that I would say to you, especially the men, is that one of the things that you have to kind of, I know a lot of y'all, we're into the stuff that Kevin Samuels was doing and stuff like that. And I think Kevin was bringing up some important points in terms of men not being heard as well. But also, you can't be dismissive. You can't say F you, shut up, or you talking crazy, get out my face. You can't do that type of stuff. And the thing is that we were kind of taught that way, right? Remember, white folks put that black exploitation pimp culture out there in the 1970s. And you have a lot of men that think that being nice to women is a bad thing. You have men that think that respecting women is a bad thing. You have men that think that really honoring women is a bad thing, and that's not healthy. That is very anti-family. That's incredibly anti-black. And but the thing about it is that they drill it so far in your brain. They put it out there so much. They put billions of dollars behind a horrifically anti-family message to the point where that some of y'all got your head screwed on backwards. Some of our men have our heads, and women too, a lot of women too. And in fact, actually, I'm going to dig into this. And just so you know, I want to give me a yes in the chat if it's okay. If I say some stuff that you don't agree with, give me a yes if it's okay, if we can disagree and still love each other. I want to make sure we set the tone for that before we have this important discussion, because I don't need to be fighting with nobody. I ain't out here looking for a fight. I'm just looking to be heard like everybody else. You want to be heard. I want to be heard. I want to hear you. How about you hear me? Give me a yes in the chat if we can be honest with each other, disagree with each other, and still learn from each other. See, people that you disagree with, you're not supposed to fight them. You're supposed to learn from them. You're not supposed to get mad at them. You're supposed to thank them because they're giving you a perspective that you can't see. Everybody's got a blind spot. Everybody's got a perspective they don't understand. Everybody's got ideas that are focused and centered on your own worldview, right? We all have a way of seeing the world, and that's valid, but that's not the only way to see an important issue. And so if you're smart, and that's why I try to talk to intelligent Black people, you ain't got to be smart, you ain't got to be educated, you just got to value intelligence. So when I say I want to talk to intelligent Black people, it's because I want to challenge you to go to a higher level instead of doing the easy thing, which is to simply be dismissive of those who disagree with you. Okay, so thank you for giving me the yeses in the chat. I have to frame the discussion as we move into this important topic. Hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and also this podcast is on Spotify and Apple. If you look up my name on either platform, you will find me there. Also, I do have a book on this topic, Love and Money, which is called Financial Lovemaking. If you go to drboycebooks.com, you can feel free to grab a copy there, or in all of my other books. And also, in fact, my wife, who is a therapist, she's been seeing clients for many years. She actually is the head of our Black Financial Therapy Department in the Black Business School. It's the first ever Black Financial Therapy Department ever created, because we're partnering with the best Black therapists on earth to figure out the psychological barriers that keep us from building Black wealth. So we're doing this. We're getting it done. So anyway, so if you want to go to drboycebooks.com, you can find my wife Alicia's work there as well. All right. So here's the thing about this thing that the mother mentioned. I agree with her 100%, right? The mother, the videos on Dr. Boyce Finance, she talks about how hard it is to be a mom. She talks about the difficulties, right? Being a mother is very, very hard on so many levels. In fact, there's so many levels of difficulty that even I am not going to pretend like I understand them all. I don't. My wife is a mother. I was very happy to marry her. I love her kids like my own. In fact, if you buy any of my books, our middle child is the one who actually ships out the books. Like just this morning, she sent me a text and said, you got to pay me extra money because I had to work extra hours because you had so many orders that came in this week. And I was like, I'm sorry. All right, how much I owe you? Right. And the thing is, what we do is we incorporate her in the business to teach her business. We incorporate her into the family, what the family business is doing, so that she'll understand family and business at the same time. Right. I don't teach her. I don't give her business school. I don't give her business lessons. I don't have her reading business books. I have her doing business and talking to me. That strengthens our relationship. That strengthens the bond she has with us, strengthens the bond she has with the family. It also fattens her pockets, helps her have some money, and then also gives her a blueprint for how she's going to go out in this world and kick butt and take names, right? So that's just a little bit of game for any parents out here that want to figure out ways to incorporate your children into some sort of wealth building strategy. There's many, many ways you can do that, actually, and I'll talk about that a little bit as we move on in this conversation. So here's the thing. So when you talk about, let's talk specifically about the financial challenges of being, let's say, a single mom, right? Now we know that I don't know if this mother is a single mother or not. I'm not going to pretend to know that at all. Sorry, I'm literally telling the Uber driver to leave the food on the porch because I'm doing this conversation with y'all. So sorry. Thank you for letting me be a little ghetto for a minute. You got to order your Uber Eats or whatnot. Anyway, all right. So here's the thing, right? So let me just say this. According to all the data that's out here, being a single mom is one of the most difficult financial challenges you'll ever overcome. It is. Every statistic I've ever seen pretty much says that Black single mothers are on the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to net worth, when it comes to income, cash flow, financial security, etc. This creates a tremendous number of anxieties. This creates a lot of major challenges, right? In fact, let me lay out some of the difficulties. She didn't talk about any of these things, but I want to add this in there to really talk about just the challenges of motherhood and what we have to respect there. First of all, single mothers overall have a lower median income. The median income for single mother households was around $45,000 in 2020. And over 100,000 for married couples, and this is just all single moms, not even Black single moms. Poverty rates in 2019, 24% of single mother households were living below the poverty line. I bet that number is nearly double for the Black community. Home ownership: single mothers have the lowest home ownership rates and overall wealth. The home ownership rate among single mothers is around 31% compared to 65% for the general population. Black single mothers, their total median income was typically lower than the median income of all single mothers. Their poverty rate was higher. 30% of Black single mothers live in poverty. Black single mothers face higher challenges when it comes to unemployment and employment stability, and also the racial wealth gap has really affected single Black mothers. The median net worth for Black families is much lower than that of white families. Last time I checked any of the numbers, it was about 18,000 to 188,000. So you're talking about a 10x differential, 10x. So keep that in mind next year as the Democratic Party comes in and tries to get your vote. You may want to consider the fact that they owe you a lot of money too, right? So my feeling is you can have all my votes. I'll vote for you forever, but y'all got to run me my money. If you run me my money, then we can talk about voting. But until you run me my money, I don't want to hear about nothing else. I don't want to hear about giving you nothing until you give me what you owe me. I don't know if y'all agree, but it's okay. You can disagree with that. All right. So here's one thing that's really important and interesting, and this is an important financial lesson, and we've hit on this before, but I wanted to hit on this in light of this video. Again, the video is at Dr. Boyce Finance, my Instagram page. I encourage you to come in, make a comment, let your voice be heard. I'm going to just say this. It's a very basic idea. Let me ask y'all this. First of all, let me ask you this. How many of you would agree, give me a yes or no, how many of you would agree that a man who's in a leadership position or a corporate position should have some degree of sexual discipline? In light of, like what happened with Ime Udoka with the Boston Celtics, Nia Long's ex-boyfriend, what's happened with maybe even guys like Diddy, stuff like that. How many of you would agree that a man, even Pastor Jamal Bryant, his chaos with the women or whatever, right? I met Jamal and he was with me in Ghana when I saw T.I. and the other guys over there. Yeah, I like him, but I was kind of surprised when I saw what was going on with him and all the women in the churches and everything. How many of you would agree that men in leadership positions or in corporate America have to have some degree of sexual discipline? How many of you would agree? Give me a yes in the chat if you agree that a man who chases every big butt and a smile, who cannot control his urges, who is tempted to sleep with women on the job and in the office and everywhere else, is going to have some problems at some point. How many of you would agree with that statement? Give me a yes if you'd agree. Okay. All right. So I'm going to tell you that I agree 100%. I think that men, especially if you want to be successful, if you want to protect your success, you're going to have to find some way to also control your penis. You can't. You have to. If you don't do it, then you'll end up like Bill Clinton did, when he was getting impeached, because for some reason he thought that he needed to, sleep with Monica Lewinsky in the Oval Office or whatever. I mean, come on. Like, there's so many other ways he could have done that, but instead he decided to do it in the Oval Office, and he's got enemies that are looking to take him down for any reason. So I think they got him testifying about something else, and then they were like, "Well, did you sleep with Monica Lewinsky?" And he said no, because he didn't want to embarrass himself. Next thing you know, you can get him on a perjury charge, right? So there's so many examples I can give you of where men's lack of sexual discipline has led to their downfall, led to them being killed. I heard a whole detailed story. It was really fascinating years ago, where there was a lady who worked for one of those Brazilian booty doctors, like the doctors that come. She said the doctor would come from Brazil. This is crazy. This is a fascinating underworld that I never knew anything about, but she told me all about it because I was writing an article about it back when I was with AOL Black Voices. And she said that this Brazilian booty doctor would come in once every 6 months, and he would inject the women with whatever it is that makes their butts pop out, right? Because they were all strippers and they were trying to make that money, and because they know men will chase a big butt and a smile. And one thing that she said was that there was one girl that she worked with who would use men's lack of sexual discipline to get them killed or get them robbed. And so her boyfriend was the head of a drug dope gang or whatever. Basically, he was a kingpin, and he would tell her, "Hey, I know this guy. He's stupid. He'll go sleep with anybody. So what I want you to do is I want you to show up at the barbershop that he goes to, and I want you to look good and lure him back to the hotel room. And once you get him good and naked and he's ready to go, me and my friends and I are going to come in." Well, so I think he was in jail at the time. So he said, "I'm going to send some guys and they're going to go and kill him." Right. So a lack of sexual discipline will get a man in trouble. Right. I hope we can agree on that. Now, if you agree with me that a lack of sexual discipline can cause problems for men, would you also agree that that is true for women? Give me a yes if you would also agree that we would also want to say to women that your womb is precious, your womb is valuable. That unfortunately, my theory is that hip hop culture has trained us to take beta males and make them look like alpha males. Hip hop culture has taken degenerate, irresponsible men who hate women, throw away all their money, don't care about their kids, don't have any degree of responsibility, and want to murder other black people. And it gives them lots of money and puts them on TV and makes you believe that these are alpha males. It makes you believe that these are the most attractive men in the flock, right? It makes you think that, okay, oh, he's so sexy. I'll give you an example. I remember talking to a young lady I mentored who told me how sexy Lil Wayne was. And I said, what do you like about him? She said, I don't know. I just like him. I'd marry a man like that. I said, well, you do know Lil Wayne got 3 women pregnant at the same time. And, you know, people catch diseases. And he also has a song where he raps about, you know, taking your girlfriend and killing her and then sending her dead body back to her ex-boyfriend. You do understand this, right? And what was really fascinating was she didn't even care. She didn't even care. She had no foresight about what a life would be like with a man like that. Right now, of course, she never got a chance to date Lil Wayne. But what happens is if Lil Wayne is the object of your desire and your affection, then you're going to find all these Lil Wayne clones that exist, all these young men who've been looking up to Lil Wayne, who've been listening to the music, who've been internalizing the message, who are going to engage in the behavior that is being played out in the lyrical content, right? You know, we know I'm a hip hop fan. We all know that stuff ain't all pretend. It ain't all fake. You know, a lot of guys really rap about things that they pretend that they actually do in real life, and it affects people's behavior. There's no greater, more influential art form that I can think of than hip hop. That's why corporations pour billions of dollars into rappers to get rappers to influence people. That's why politicians do interviews with rappers and bring rappers to their conventions, because they know rappers are influencers. Give me a yes if you follow what I'm saying. So let's get past the nonsense that it's just music. It ain't just music. It's influence, right? So let me explain. Let's go full circle. Let's talk about that little girl who told me how she would love to marry Lil Wayne. Well, 10 years later, that little girl has 2 kids. She's a single mom. Both baby daddies. One baby daddy is a drug dealer. The other baby daddy was a drug addict. And then, you know, and so later on, there were tears. It's so hard to be a single mom. It's so difficult. It's so hard to get the help I need. And the sad part to me, the hardest part for me, I live in the Twilight Zone, by the way. That's where I live 90% of the time. To be an intelligent black man, or not even intelligent, to be a person that with any form of wisdom in the black community is like living in the Twilight Zone, because you can see the disasters happening before they occur. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion. It's like, that's my life. If you want to get a glimpse inside the brain of Boyce Watkins, it's literally like watching a train wreck in slow motion, because for a long time, I've always sort of seen things in terms of cause and effect, actions, consequences. You understand? 1 + 1 is 2, right? So I knew when this young lady told me how much she thought Lil Wayne would be a great man to be with, I in my head, I could predict what kind of man you're going to pick. Do you understand? Do you follow what I'm saying? So this is where the white supremacy creeps into the room. This is where it becomes a problem. And so here's the issue, right? That lack of sexual discipline, or those poor choices, lead to really terrible outcomes. And then, you know, 10, 15 years later, your child's asking, like, why don't I have a daddy? Like, everybody, why do these other kids have a daddy and I don't? Or I'm going through something, I need a dad. You know, I wish my daddy was here, right? And you're sad about it. But the thing about it is that I think that as a community, it is absolutely essential that we learn the basics of cause and effect, because it is the lack of ability to connect the future with the present that causes so many calamities that could have easily been avoided. Black people, actually, did y'all know that the if you list the top 10 reasons that Black people die, our list is different from white people. White people die from a lot of like genetic diseases, because I think that we're just genetically, I don't know if we're genetically superior to other people, but we have some strong genes. A lot of the stuff we die from are things that are preventable, you know, like the food we eat, the violence, stuff like that, right? The stress, you know, even the racial stress. So my position on it would be that it is essential. Literally, there should be a class for every Black child in America on strategic thinking, cause and effect, delayed gratification, like learning these sorts of things. And these are actually investment principles. These are the principles that make you a great investor, right? So this is why, as a finance professor, I'm deeply in tune with this, because that's all investing is. It's delayed gratification. It's the ability to sacrifice today so you can have more tomorrow. You know, when I was in grad school and I was in school till I was 30 and everybody made fun of me, I just told my friends, I said, I'm gonna live a few years like nobody else will, so I can live the rest of my life like nobody else can. And by the time I was 30 years old, I was making over $100,000 a year, and I haven't gone back since. Right. So ultimately, that delayed gratification or that ability to have some degree of discipline, that degree of ability to sacrifice today so you can have more tomorrow, that is essential for anybody that wants to be successful. And the thing about sexuality is that every message you receive is the exact opposite. It is go get it now. If it feels good, go do it. Um, and in fact, this is going to lead to my next conclusion on this in terms of what I saw when this mother was talking about how hard it was to be a mom. I don't know this woman's story, but I know stories of lots of our people, right? So I want to relate it in that way, not speaking specifically about that woman. That's not what I'm doing here. Okay. Now, do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. And by the way, I actually do have a whole class in the Black Business School that's literally focused on all these principles of things like delayed gratification, goal setting, time management, the things that help me to become successful, actually. And what we decided to do was we decided to literally make it free. It had a price on it, but I said, if anybody wants to go through this, I'd be happy to share it. If you go to blackkeystogreatness.com, you'll get free access to the Dr. Boyce Book Club, which we do every Wednesday. We do free Powernomics training in the Black Business School. You also get access to my life class. And that's what it is. It's a life class. It's like basically like all the rules that I've applied in my life to help me accomplish my goals. And I created it because I'm not really a Black man that has a ton of regrets. Like, I don't look back at my life and say, oh man, I wish I had studied harder when I was in my 20s, because I was studying in my 20s. I don't look back and say, oh man, I wish I had married, a different kind of woman or something. No, I did marry the girl of my dreams. Or, oh, I wish I had invested, money. No, I invested money, right? I wish I'd taken care of my health. And no, I'm in the gym every morning at 7 a.m. On most days, right? So ultimately, there are rules to this game, right? And I think that as Black people, if we don't understand the rules and if we don't figure out a process for success and happiness and peace and everything that we want, then you fall on your face and you struggle. Now, so one thing I'll say is that that when you're talking about having a child with another person or even sleeping with another person, I want you to understand that this is even more serious than starting a business with somebody. The difference is that when you sleep with a person, you're starting a business with them, and if a baby comes out of that sex, then that's where babies come from, right? Sometimes we act like we forget that. That is like having a business with that person, and you cannot ever terminate the business. You are going to be in business with that man for the next 50 years. And if I told you, if I said, hey, here's a student loan, sign for the student loan, you'll be paying this debt for the next 50 years. Most of y'all wouldn't sign it. If I said, here's a business you got to start and you got to work on this business for the next 50 years, most of y'all wouldn't do it. Right. But the thing about sex is tricky. It'll lure us in. Somebody smells good, looks good, they sound good. Next thing you know, you're giving them, you're rolling the dice, right? You give them access to your reproductive organs. And then these babies pop out and people act like they don't know where the baby came from. And so what's interesting too is that from a financial standpoint, the single mother is down near the bottom, but also the single father with multiple children is also down there too. And so this is where I have to challenge the men who are speaking down on mothers and what mothers have done is understand that, if you're a guy that's making a bunch of babies, then you're going to have problems too. Now, one thing that's interesting, and actually Kevin Samuels pointed this point out, and I think that that's an accurate point, is he said that only about 20% of the men are making the vast majority of the children that get abandoned. Now, I don't know. I got to go check that specific statistic. But if you study the animal kingdom, what you find actually with a lot of mammals is that you have that group of males that are very attractive to women. And those males just spend their whole lives reproducing. They're just screwing everything. And then you have a lot of other men who are kind of starved for opportunity, right? They're happy to get any chance they can get. And so women are naturally attracted to men that are in that top 10%, right? So that's why you get situations on, say, a college campus where there's guys who slept with 200-300 women, And then there might be a guy who only slept with maybe 2 or 3 the whole time he was in college, or maybe 1 or 2 or something like that, right? And this is and this is interesting because this is very natural, right? This naturally occurs because women are biologically attracted to the best genetics. But the problem is that the guy with those genetics may not be a great dad, right? In fact, he's going to have a really hard time being a great dad because he's if you got 50 kids, you can't be a great dad to those 50 kids. Or not 50, but I did know a young guy who had 27 children. And in his 27 children don't have a father because he got killed in a drug deal not too long after that. And so that leads to the more serious question of who are all these women making babies with this guy who had 27 kids, and what was their thinking? What was their logic? Their thinking probably was the sex is good, right? Well, where does that come from? And this is another solution I'm gonna lay out here for you. I hope you'll consider this. We have so much undiagnosed trauma in our community that it's ridiculous. We don't deal with our shit. We don't. We don't believe in therapists. We believe in white Jesus, but we don't believe in therapists. Seriously, I think that's the craziest thing in the world. I mean, I'm not saying you can't believe in white Jesus. Go to church. Do what you're gonna do. But I'm gonna tell you, a good therapist will help you avoid bad decisions, because what I have found that a good therapist does, because I have a therapist and I like her very, I love talking to her, and my wife is a therapist, is that a good therapist will help you understand who you are and why you make the choices that you make. A good therapist will help you understand the triggers that you have, and some of these triggers may cause you to make bad choices. Why? Well, maybe because you have so much pain that your daddy was never there, and you felt unloved growing up, and maybe you went through some horrible experiences because your daddy was not there to protect you. It's going to affect how you view men. It's going to affect your ability to ever trust a man. It's also going to create a lot of pain that is going to be resolved through various forms of dopamine. Dopamine in the brain. That's the feel-good chemical. That's the high. That's the heroin, right? On mass distribution. Well, where can you get some dopamine from? You could get some. Anybody ever tried sex before? And how good it is? Well, all that is a dopamine explosion in your brain. So that dopamine explosion numbs you from the pain, no different from a drug addict who needs OxyContin to deal with his back pain. But then you can go deeper than that, right? Other ways to get dopamine: eating food. If you look at black women, and unfortunately, I love y'all. Y'all sexy as hell. When y'all get thick, y'all can weigh 250 pounds and still look good. White women can't do that. Let's just be honest with that. However, that is not always healthy. And if you look at the statistics on black women and physical health, you will know that all that fried chicken and donuts and everything, all that comfort food, eventually catches up with you and causes you some health problems. Well, why does that occur? Well, maybe eating that food or having that sex or drinking that wine helps you to feel better about all the stressors that exist in your life and all the undiagnosed trauma that you have that it resides inside your body. Do y'all follow what I'm saying? And by the way, Sean Turner, I see your comment, Sean, and I hate to say this. I see Sean is using that word simp. So Sean is obviously a simp. But the thing about it, Sean, is that if your simp butt keeps talking, I'm going to have to ban you for life, because this is a space. To be in the space is a privilege. It is not a right. I do not beg. I have over 1 million followers on different YouTube channels. I do not need Sean Turner in here. So I just want you to know, brother, that if you come in with ignorant, immature conversation, then I will ban you for life. He says, I don't care. All right. So everybody say goodbye, Sean. Have a nice life. All right. So Sean is now officially banned for life. So if you are a troll, you better be a quiet troll. If you're ignorant, you better be quietly ignorant, because when ignorant people come in here and disrupt the discussions of intelligent black people, they get banished for life. So I have to make that statement every now and then in case people think I'm playing. I'm not playing right now. We're talking about serious topics. We're talking about mature topics. And if you are immature, bearded babies are black men who are over the age of 30, who don't take accountability for anything, who don't want to educate themselves, who don't want to grow on any level, who don't want to be responsible. So they run around and they say stupid things and they attack women and they blame everybody else. And all the while, these men are destroying the black community. A lot of y'all know some bearded babies out here. And really, as a community, we got to challenge these bearded babies. We got to challenge these men. And the thing is that women, you're not, I mean, I know a lot of y'all going to say amen and that's right and all this other stuff, but just understand you play a part in creating these bearded babies. A lot of these bearded babies were raised by mothers who never held them accountable. They were raised by mothers who always make excuses for them. Has anybody ever seen that? Where you got some guy that got 14 kids by 12 different women and living in his mama's basement, smoking weed and playing Xbox all day in his drawers, and his mama don't never challenge him. His mother always pretty much makes excuses for him. Well, what you're basically doing when you create these weak ass men like this is you are destroying the life of another woman. You are literally dumping toxic waste into your community. You are poisoning your community by even releasing this diseased animal into the fucking wild, because he's going to go around and inject his dirty penis into a whole bunch of women, ruin a bunch of lives, traumatize children, and destroy things for other people. I have very little tolerance for this. And why is this a trigger point for me? It's a trigger point for me. And again, my therapist helps me understand this. It's a trigger point for me because I saw these bearded babies when I grew up. I saw these weak motherfuckers that didn't want to be responsible and want to sit around and drink and smoke and do all this dumb shit all day and not do anything, not want to work hard, not want to be accountable, not want to take responsibility. And I saw their mothers enabling them. So let's just be clear. It takes a village to destroy a child. It takes a village to create a nuisance. It takes a village to ruin a black child. It ain't just the mothers. It ain't just the fathers. It's all of us. And I don't have the interest or the patience to sit around and talk to people who don't want to take accountability. I just can't. I don't want to do it. You know, my question becomes at what point do you stop making excuses for what you're doing to do? At what point do you sort of wonder, like, am I contributing to the problem on some level? Seriously, I had that conversation with my 13-year-old daughter the other day. We were talking and she missed the bus and I was driving her to school and we had a whole conversation about no excuses. And she was like, yeah, but the bus driver did this, the bus driver did. I said, yeah, I get all that. All that happened. In your whole life, you're always going to have an excuse. In your whole life, you're always going to have somebody that does something wrong to you, something that didn't go right, something that was owed to you that wasn't delivered. But that will never benefit you. Excuses ain't never going to pay your bills. Excuses ain't never going to get you what you want. Excuses will never make your life better. So the only hope you have, the only thing you can do is to say, what can I do to change the situation? What could I have done to avoid this problem? What can I do next time? What can I learn from this horrific outcome so that I can avoid the problem next time? That's all you got. That's all you got. It ain't everything, but that's all you got. You know, and so really, you know, I'm gonna just tell you like this. I think we need a revolution of personal responsibility in the Black community. I do. I think we need a revolution in that. I think that the most revolutionary thing you can do as a Black person is to take accountability for your life, right? So that means you go sit down with that damn therapist and work through your shit so that you don't keep on ruining other people's lives. Or maybe you think about cause and effect and the choices that you make and value yourself enough to be thoughtful about how your choices are going to impact other people. Because here's the thing that bothers me about some of this stuff is that as we're going through our stuff, it's really the kids that are struggling. I mean, the kids are the ones that hurt the most. You know, when we can't figure out a way to work our relationship out because we were too lazy to read a book about it or watch some YouTube videos or talk to a therapist, you know, our kids are the ones who are going to suffer because we're not trying to be our best selves. We're not trying to figure out how we can minimize our contribution to the issue, right? And so ultimately, and I'm not speaking as a person who's perfect. I'm speaking as a man who's made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes. But what I'm committed to is the basic fundamental idea that I'm going to try my best to learn from those mistakes and grow from those mistakes so that I don't harm other people. Because the thing about it is that, especially for dads, you know, it's really important, I think, for men to understand you have a lot of power when you're the head of a household. When you give life to a child, like, you know, whatever, or when you have people looking up to you and expecting things from you and protected by you, there's a lot of power. It's like being in a car and you're the driver of the car. And if you drive the car sloppy and you're drunk driving or you don't know what you're doing, you're going to kill everybody. You're going to destroy everybody's life. Right. But if you're a responsible driver and you're a careful driver, you can take people places that they probably could not go on their own. So the honor of being the head of a household is something that I take seriously. And I think it's something that requires training. You know, you can't do this without understanding what the rules are. And I know that the big challenge for the Black community is that with 76% of our children not having a father in the house, most of our kids are going into the world and they don't have training. So it's almost like putting them all behind the wheel and they never took a driver's lesson and they're crashing the car. The family is the car. They're crashing the car because they never went to driving school. They never got lessons. They didn't even spend time behind the wheel. But yet put them out there and you give them all automobiles and they're driving the cars 100 miles an hour and driving them off the road, and their children are dying in the process. And this is what I see when I see the Black family. The Black family is that vehicle. We are driving that vehicle without any training, without any preparation, without any form of discipline. We're drunk driving behind the wheel, and the children are suffering. The children are the ones that are suffering. All right, so anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, if you want to get, I'm going to send you guys a list of side hustles that you can start for under $100. It's totally free from the Black Business School. If you'd like to receive that list, I'm going to text it out this afternoon. So if you want to get the list, just text the word stock to 31996. If you haven't done it yet, text stock to 31996. I'll also send you things like our $5 a day investing plan. I spent time last night talking to a grandmother. I think her name was, I can't remember. Her name started with a C. And anyway, this grandmother was saving money for her grandchildren and really doing a great job. And she was a young grandmother, maybe in her early 50s. And she was talking about the CDs she was buying them and the savings plan, everything else. And I said, gosh, thank you so much for doing this for your grandkids, because you're really making a big difference in their lives. They're going to honor you forever. I said, now here's another little trick you may want to apply. And I said, I could show you in 5 minutes if you want to hear it. She said, yeah. So you know what I did? I sat there with her and I said, let's get on your Robinhood account. And I want you to implement the $5 a day investing plan. I want you to invest $35 a week. And I showed her what fund to pick: SPY, Sierra Papa Yankee, the S&P 500 index fund, where you're going to be investing in Microsoft and Nvidia and all these other companies. And I said, all you got to do if you want your grandkids set up for life is never sell. Do it every week for 20 years and never sell the asset. In 10 years, you'll start to notice the accumulation of the wealth, but in 20 years is when you really see it. That's when they have six figures. And I said, and really, if your money's right and you can afford it, instead of doing $35 a week, which is $5 a day, do a number that's higher. Do $100 a week. $100 a week, that you'll 3x the numbers, right? So in 20 years, instead of having 100,000, you'll have approximately $300,000. That's massive. I said, so process that. Think about what you're doing. You're giving your grandchildren the ability to never have to work for anybody their entire life. You're solving 90% of the racial problem for most Black people, because most Black people, the racism and stress that we feel comes from getting up and going to work every day with some SOB who doesn't respect us, right? And so ultimately in the Black Business School, that's what we do. We find simple solutions to very difficult, complex problems. You'd be amazed how many problems can get solved by just having a little bit of discipline. Not even a lot. Just a little bit of discipline. And we were talking about stocks, and she said, my husband buys stocks and he likes to look at it every day and poke at it and this, that, and the other. I said, think of growing wealth like growing flowers in your garden. If you're growing flowers in your garden, you don't pick at it every day. You don't look at it every day and stare at it to see if it's growing. You just plant your seeds and you just wait. You let time do what it's supposed to do. You understand? Right. So this is wealth. This is how wealth is built. And let me just tell you, when I heard that mother talking about how stressful it is to be a mom, wealth would probably solve a lot of her problems. I'm willing to bet you. I bet you that if she had an extra $100,000 in the bank, let me know. Give me a yes if you agree. If she had an extra $100,000 in the bank, I bet you that a lot of her problems could be solved. And if she couldn't solve them, I could probably help her. Let me tell you what I did with my wife. My wife, I love her, and she is awesome, and she's super smart, and she's a mom, and our children we have 3 beautiful children that, and these are not my kids, but these are my kids, if you know what I mean. Like, I love them, I take them as my own. Those are pictures from our wedding, by the way. There's D1 at our wedding with Willie D from the Ghetto Boys, and there's some other brothers at the wedding. So we had a really good time when we got married in Texas. But anyway, so one thing with my wife is that we did have a long conversation about how hard Black women work. I said, you come from a tradition of hardworking Black women, and like my grandma, and I love y'all for that. I think the term strong Black woman is actually a compliment. I don't think we ever need to get rid of it, but I think we need to redefine what strong really means. So I said, my job, the best thing I could probably do for you, especially given that I'm a person who has a little bit of money, right? And you have some money. She had money too. I said, let's talk about delegation. Let's talk about the fact that I think that a lot of mothers are trained to feel like they have to do everything. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Let me know if you know what I'm talking about. Where Black women kind of carry the load for everybody and everything all the time. And by the way, there's my wife's website if you want to go learn more about what she does. She's a therapist, by the way. And I said, I don't think you have to do it all. I said, number one, I'm going to help you, right? Because I'm supposed to. And I think that goes into partner selection, right? Because my wife, I'm sorry, my wife was the most beautiful woman I ever saw. And when we were friends years ago, I saw her get hit on by the dumb jocks, the dope dealers, the rappers, all the guys that would have made terrible fathers. But she didn't pick men like that, right? That was one intelligent thing that she actually did. Now, that she had an advantage, though. Her father was a smart man. He was a responsible man. He was a college professor like me. So her first husband was a smart guy. He's a great guy. I work with him. We talk together. We talk a lot about raising the kids, and the kids are protected by all of us. Like, you'll never hear about R. Kelly coming into our house and sleeping with one of our daughters or something crazy like that. You're not going to hear that story, because if he did that, he would get his ass kicked by me, by her dad, by her uncle, and all the men that are designed to protect her. You understand? So when we talk about fatherhood, we got to understand what fathers do. We are we part of our job is to be that protector. So when people are disrespecting the protector and acting like you don't need the protector, or that you got this and you can do it all by yourself, that is a masculine role that I don't believe women are best suited to fulfill. I don't. I think women can do amazing things. Women are pretty awesome, but women can't be men. Men can't be women. And I think that we should say that repeatedly, because the politics out here is extraordinarily stupid. The politics got your head screwed on backwards. The politics got you talking crazy, like your kids are, without their daddy or without any male influence, are going to be just the same as if they had male influence. But I just explained to you one simple I could probably give you 10,000 examples of why my presence as a man, it matters. It freaking matters. And again, the video that's on my Instagram at Dr. Boyce Finance, I don't know if the lady's a single mom or not. I'm not saying she's a single mom or isn't, but my thought is that if you're under all this pressure and having all these challenges as a mom, either you don't have a man helping you, or you've got or either you don't have a man helping you, or you don't have a man helping you. If you understand that, what I just said, let me know if you follow what I said. Either you don't have a man helping you, or you don't have a man helping you. You have a male in the house who appears to be a man, but he apparently doesn't understand that raising children is a two-person job, right? But then again, at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if she herself has carried an unnecessary burden on herself to sort of carry that whole load. Why? Well, because Black women are strong and capable, and y'all have overcome so much crap, and it makes y'all the strongest in the building. But there's a lot of pain that comes with that type of strength, and we understand that, right? And I think that we ignore that pain. And this is the part where I loved, where in the video, and again, it said Dr. Boyce Finance on my Instagram. Feel free to go watch it and contribute to the discussion. But I liked where she was talking about acknowledging that pain, acknowledging those struggles, because I would say for sure mental health is a big problem. I mentioned that earlier in our community. In our community, we don't, not only do we not really acknowledge it, we don't treat it. So I thought about things like postpartum depression, which is very prevalent in a lot of families. We just kind of say, grin and bear it, get through it, figure it out. You'll be okay. You can do this. You got this. And I just think that that's so much pressure to put on a person, right? And so ultimately, I would say that, so let's go back to the example of me and my wife. It's a little awkward to use us as an example because we ain't perfect. Ain't no couple out here perfect. Couples might pretend to be perfect, but I'm not going to pretend because we ain't perfect. But one thing I can say to you is that we had a conversation where I said, I'm pretty good at business. And as a business school professor, let me just tell you, I think delegation is probably the next skill that you need to learn. In fact, there's what they call the important urgent matrix, where you have tasks that are either important or urgent, or both, right? Or neither, right? So you've got things that are important and urgent, things that are important but not urgent, things that are urgent but not important, and then things that are neither urgent nor important. So we talked about that, and I said, let's talk about how you can delegate some of this stuff. I said, look, you are a brilliant professor. She's a full professor, by the way, of social work. And in case you don't know, Uh, Only about 10% of PhDs become full professors, and only 1% of the population has a PhD. I'm talking about a real PhD, not a lot of people got bullshit PhDs, to be honest. I'm not making fun of it, but me and my wife went through 5 years of real trauma to get our doctorates, right? I went to Ohio State, she went to Florida State, and so I said, look, you're a full professor. You've written all these books. You have 30 years of experience in your profession. She's damn good at what she does. I said, I think that you should spend your time thinking and working and doing your best work. I don't think you need to necessarily always be the person who is washing the dishes. I don't think you always need to be the person who's picking the kids up from soccer practice. I don't think you always need to be the person who's sweeping the floor. So I said, why don't we look at our task list, all the things you got to do, and delegate some of this stuff, offload some of the less important stuff, paid by somebody else's time, right? So we do have a maid come in periodically, and it's not designed to be super expensive, right? But the maid will come in and clean the house up real good, so she doesn't have to worry about that as much. We do have somebody that maybe helps us pick up the kids or do the little tasks around the house, so that way she's able to free herself to focus on the tasks that are most essential, right? I think that every household can and should be run like a business, and you are the CEO of that house. And as the CEO, you want to spend your time doing the things that are most beneficial to the household and delegating the things that anybody can do, so that creates a stronger household. I believe, and I wrote about this a lot in my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. Feel free to go to drboycebooks.com and get a copy. But I talk about the untapped potential that comes with how a well-structured household can be an engine for substantial economic growth. Give me a yes if you're following this. I hope that this is making sense to you. Your household, your family, a well-structured Black family can be a massive engine for economic growth, because you're not just producing money, you're producing love and connection, which is more valuable than money. That you're literally producing what I call the purest form of wealth. The purest form of wealth isn't just money. There's plenty of households that got money where everybody hates each other and everybody's miserable. No, the purest form of wealth to me is when you have all these other things that don't have to do with money. You have the money, sure. The money's important. The money's an important part of this. I can tell you all about the money. That's what my PhD's in. I have a PhD in money. But the more important things are your physical and mental health, your healthy relationships, right? Freedom. Lord, as Black people, we always use the word freedom, but don't nobody know nothing about being free, right? Half the people using the word freedom need to sit and meditate on what freedom actually looks like. And once they do that meditation, they're going to realize, like, shit, I'm not free at all. My mind ain't free. Body ain't free. Finances ain't free. My relationship, love life ain't free. I don't feel free nowhere. Well, because maybe you learn freedom as a term that you repeat, just like a cliche. But you don't understand what freedom actually means. Freedom means doing what the hell you want. Freedom means, not being constrained and oppressed and controlled by others, right? So ultimately, I don't think we have freedom. In fact, think about this. Here's another interesting thing, right? If you are in processes, remember we were talking about earlier how undiagnosed mental health can create various coping mechanisms that are incredibly unhealthy, right? Various addictions. Right? We talk about things like drug addictions, alcohol addictions. Those are manifestations of undiagnosed trauma, what they call trauma responses, right? You're having a bad day, so you get a drink or whatever. Well, also, there are other forms of addictions. There are like gambling addictions, sex addictions. Sex is an addiction, right? All that dopamine you get from sex can cause people to engage in unhealthy sexual behavior. Well, what does that mean? Well, the consequences are obvious, right? Diseases, broken hearts, like lots and lots of emotional trauma that come from pair bonding with people that you have no business pair bonding with, people whose spiritual energy you're mixing with, who literally have the spirit of the devil. Next thing you know, you trying to file a lawsuit because of something horrible somebody did to you 20 years ago, when really some of that might have been preventable had we sort of had conversations like this, right? And so ultimately, I'll say this, that this is why that therapy piece is so important, because if you do that, then you're no longer going to be a slave to your addictions. Do you understand? So when we talk about freedom, part of freedom means not being controlled by something like a sex addiction, a food addiction, an alcohol addiction, or drug addiction to deal with the pain. So the question becomes, how do you really cope with the pain, get the help with the pain, get that therapy, whatever it is that you need, so that you can truly become free? Because that's when you become free. Because if you are addicted to something, whether you're addicted to a drug or addicted to a man, you're never free. you're never going to be free. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about. I remember a woman who loved a man so much, and she hated the fact that she loved him. He was a piece of shit. He was a dirtbag. He was a liar. He was a scumbag. He was no good. He let her know repeatedly, I don't love you. I ain't going to commit to you. I don't want to be with you. But she was addicted to him. Well, why was she addicted? Well, because the sex was good, right? She and also she liked him in other ways too, but also mainly the sex was good. Lots of orgasms. Orgasms release things in your brain like dopamine and oxytocin. Oxytocin bonds you with the other person, right? So, and women are very vulnerable to this. Women have a tremendous amount of oxytocin receptors. So you have this great experience with this man. So next thing you know, he's the drug pusher, you're the dope addict, right? And I remember she would write down to herself like how she wasn't going to answer his calls, wasn't going to talk to him anymore, wasn't going to do whatever. And I felt bad for her, because as soon as this guy would call or snap his fingers, she was up, she was in it, she would just do whatever he said. And so she was a slave. And this is what I'm getting back to. We talked about that word freedom. This woman was a slave to her connection to this man. And so if we as Black people are really going to talk about things like freedom, I think we really have to meditate on what freedom really looks like for you, right? What does freedom really look like? And the thing about freedom is that freedom ain't free. That's where the politics gets us in trouble. The politics puts us in the victim box, where somehow we think freedom is something that some white person is going to magically deliver to our doorstep and give to us, and we're going to live happily ever after. If you're waiting on Mr. Charlie to deliver your freedom, then Mr. Charlie ain't never going to deliver freedom to you. Mr. Charlie going to deliver a freedom substitute that comes with a lot of strings attached, a lot of expectations. All he can deliver to you is a better form of slavery. It's almost like somebody trying to become financially free by saying, I need to get a better job. Most jobs do not deliver financial freedom. Most jobs simply deliver a more comfortable form of slavery and servitude. Most jobs deliver just, a different caliber of your control and constraint and commitment to the corporation, right? That's what most jobs are going to do. The jobs don't deliver freedom. If you want freedom, you're going to do the hard work. You have to do some of the riskier work, like starting your own business, making investments, creating the side hustles, whatever. Freedom does not really exist within a controlled system 9 times out of 10. Freedom typically exists outside of that system. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. I'm going to finish this conversation up soon because my food got here a long time ago and I'm actually kind of hungry. And but I hope this conversation is helpful to you. I hope that we're gaining some insights. And like I said, the video is on my Instagram, Dr. Boyce Finance, if you want to go check that out. And also, I want to remind you guys that we're doing, speaking of freedom and forming good habits, I decided I want to do a 30 straight day wealth and power pathway sort of class starting January 1st. I have a book called 30 Days to Black Wealth and Power. And in this book, it's a reflective journal. And what it does is each day it asks you a question to answer that will help you to gain what I call financial consciousness, to understand where you are, where you want to be, how you're going to get there, how you make your plan, things like that. So what I decided to do is this. So I'm doing this class. It's going to be 30 straight days. We're going to meet every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern and do at least 30 minutes on the lesson for that day and fill out this journal together. And I'll talk you through it and things like that. The fee for the class is $2.99, but you can actually join for free if you get a copy of the book. Right. So the first 100 people, if you want to join for free, just get a copy of the book by going to drboycebooks.com. The book is $24.99. And in fact, you can get a 30% discount. Use the code word book club. So we make it as easily available as possible. Just go to drboycebooks.com, search for the term 30 days to wealth and power. If you go to the top of the page, there's a little magnifying glass search box. So just search for 30 days to wealth and power and you'll find the book there. Or just type 30 in and it'll pop up. And if you buy the book, then I'll let you can come into the class for free. And the class is going to be delivered on our social media platform every morning. And our social media platform can be found at b1nation.us. That's b1nation.us. I'll try to type that in the chat so you guys can see it. Let me see, b1nation.us. I hope that makes sense. Okay. So so we're going to start January 1st and we're going to do 30 straight days, 7 days a week, no breaks for the weekends. And that's what we're doing. So feel free to join us for this training. All right. So here's kind of a quick, I'm going to lay out a quick summary of some of the financial challenges of being a single mother or a Black single mother. Now, here's some challenges that single mothers in general have to deal with. Number one, by having a single income, you don't have diversified income streams. That's violating one of the rules of wealth and economics. Is you want to have as many income streams as possible. So this is another one of the reasons why marriage is seen as a financial elevator for most families. Childcare costs. Childcare is insanely expensive. It's ridiculous. There's limited time availability, right? So not only is your money short, but your time is short. Why? Well, because you got to spend all your time raising your kids. So if you're trying to get that second job or that second stream of income or work on the side hustle, it's harder to do if you're a mom. So the challenge is that when you're doing it all by yourself, you're either struggling on the financial side or you're struggling on the motherhood side. Next thing you know, Lil Paquan is 16 years old and he's out in the streets because his mom was working 2 or 3 jobs and she's not able to supervise his behavior. Let's see here. Education expenses, that can be a drainer. It's college and all that stuff. Healthcare costs. Especially once you start breaking down, like you get past maybe the age of 45 or 50 and you start having health challenges, it's really difficult to cover those healthcare costs, especially when you are the sole provider, sole breadwinner, sole everything for your house. Also, building an emergency fund, emergency savings can be depleted. And so ultimately, unfortunately, you have a lot of scenarios where moms are, or really parents or people in general are kind of living paycheck to paycheck. I'm not making fun of that. That's a problem for a lot of people. The solution is actually quite simple, but the solution requires a little bit of discipline to implement. One solution is the personal solution is obviously saving that 10%, investing that 10% of your income, no matter what your income level is. The same way you can find money to go to a restaurant or whatever. You got to find that money to invest in yourself. You shouldn't spend your money first and then invest what's left. You should invest your money first and then spend what's left because your future is extremely important. Now, if you're super smart and you want to get ahead of the curve or you want to help your children prevent that problem for themselves, it's very easy. If you text the word stock to 31996, I'll send you the $5 a day investing plan. It's also available on my website, boycewatkins.com. The $5 a day investing plan is a massive master plan for anybody that wants their kids out of poverty or to not have to work for anyone else. It's very easy. But like I was explaining to the grandmother, I said, if you can find a way to put $100 a week into an S&P 500 index fund and never sell those assets, then your grandkids will have $300,000 in 20 years. They'll have approximately $750,000 or give or take a few thousand in 30 years. So by the time they're between 25 and 30, they'll never have to work for anybody again, especially if you train them how to be a good steward on their assets. Let's see now. C2PR says, I have books. Can I still get in for free? Yeah, you can. You can. Just email if you have any questions or if you've already bought the book. It's called 30 Days to Wealth and Power. It's at drboycebooks.com. If you already have the book, just email support@theblackbusinessschool.com and they will let you in. So yes, I didn't mention that. Thank you for that question. All right, so let's also retirement savings. The retirement is a big problem. That's a big economic calamity waiting to happen because most people over 50 are not adequately prepared for retirement. And what's really crazy is I don't know what our government's going to do because our government is in terrible financial shape. I mean, it's terrible shape in terms of just they're in great shape in terms of the amount of money they can make, but they're in terrible shape in terms of how they manage the debt and how big the debt has gotten. And I just keep thinking, like, if we have another disaster, we have wide open borders, right? So what if there's a terrorist attack, in the United States, and then they suddenly have to go in their pockets for another $2, $3, $4 trillion to deal with that calamity? We're gonna be screwed. Like the U.S. is in big trouble. So maybe some investments in things like gold could help maybe prepare and protect you from that obvious, the inflationary problems and things like that can pop out. So feel free to take a look at some of that stuff. I think there's a lot of unknowns out there that I would be really careful about. Now, SPY is the ticker symbol Emotep. So if you so SPY, but that's one of many. There's so many other funds, and really, it's not a matter of having to pick a particular fund. It's really a matter of consistently investing in something that is going to give you that diversification. Like for example, I invest in a lot of AI stocks, and one fund I invest in is AIQ. That's a ticker symbol for a fund that invests in AI. But at the same time, though, the thing about investing that you don't want to do is make that mistake of putting all your money into one or two stocks. That's where people really get in trouble. If you treat the stock market like a casino, then it's going to treat you like a casino, meaning that you're going to find yourself going from boom to bust. And that's not what investing is supposed to look like. All right. So, all right, guys. So I'm going to finish up here. And I want to say thank you so much for listening to me. If you want to go and check out that video, it's at Dr. Boyce Finance. Go look at it and make a comment. Let me know what you think. I really want to hear your perspectives. I have been reading your comments. And also the Prime program, those of you that are in the Prime program, Prime stands for Passive Recurring Income Machine. We're going to have a class meeting this week. So if you want to know what we're doing, we're actually generating cash flow by selling stock options. This is actually how I make a big chunk of my money is selling stock options. It's great. It's a great way to make money if you're wondering like how to get income from your stocks without having to sell them, things like that. So feel free to go to drboyceprime.com. You can kind of see what we're doing. Also on boycewatkins.com, there is a training there called How to Make Money Without Working, and you can take a look at that. All right. So have a good day, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I love you, and hit that thumbs up button on your way out. If you could, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.